All right, today I'll tell you why I gave up on the Bloodsworn Saga by Gwynne. Long story short, I kind of didn't like it. Okay, so I should elaborate some more on that. First of all, I read Gwynne's Faithful and the Fallen series a few years ago and I liked it. It was a solid 3.5 stars, I would say, to use a simplified but occasionally useful metric. For me, that's a decent series. Anyway, the sequel series I didn't like as much, but I was still curious to see where Gwyn would take us next. Um, and all the reviews I saw on BookTube, BookTube is what I rely on for readings suggestion to a large extent. All the reviews I saw there were very positive, and consequently, my expectations for the Bloodsworn Saga went through the roof. So once the series was completed, I finally got around to reading the first book in the series with my expectations set way too high, and that's really never a good start for a reading experience. And well, okay, I get it. Booktubers want to be kind, want to talk about the positives and not the negatives, not want to talk about books we don't we don't like, but discussing negatives can be just as important and not seldom more interesting. And it's perfectly possible to mention negative things about a book without being mean in any way. Um, and of course, there's always the very likely possibility that the series really is as good as everyone else is saying, and I'm just an outlier in a galaxy far away. Anyway, I started the book and I was a bit baffled because I kind of kept waiting for all this awesomeness that everyone was talking about. In short, I felt that the word didn't bring anything new. The plot lines. So, plotline. If you're using well-established tropes, there has to be some kind of twist in it in order to grab my attention. I don't think the book really does that. I mean, we have a highborn woman trying to prove herself on the battlefield in a mercenary company. We have an escaped slave trying to prove himself on the battlefield in a mercenary company, while also seeking revenge. Then we have a retired mercenary who I assume have already proven herself, maybe or maybe not in a mercenary company. But this one though has a very interesting side to her plot because no wait, scratch that. That's also she also wants revenge. Okay, so and apart from that, I felt that the characters lack distinct individual voices. Um, World building wise, I kind of get what he's aiming for, and I think it's kind of interesting to have this very bleak Viking-esque world um, with, with some neat additions when it comes to magical creatures being around. So that wasn't too bad. But another one of my main issues, though, on the negative side, is the language. So I would die a happy man if I never again had to hear the word thought cage as a stand-in for a mind or a brain. And okay, I understand what Gwyn is aiming for here, wanting to build the world by pointing out how these people view things and how that influences language. It helps us understand what is important in this culture, so oceans become whale roads. All right, okay. So a bit like the world chainmail, a great example of how a world would be built, a mail made of chains. But wait, now that we have this perfect example in English, he then chooses to change that. So instead, he uses the word brynja, or as the audiobook narrator or as the audiobook narrator pronounces it, Brynja. So I'm Swedish, and I happen to know that Brynja, as it is pronounced, means chainmail, and I know that sax means scissors. I can't imagine how annoying these words must be for the majority of the world who doesn't speak Swedish, Norwegian, Danish, or Icelandic. Okay, so anyway, this was obviously not for me. I'm very happy with myself that I actually DNF'd it instead of pushing through, which I would have done a few years ago. I need to I need to quit more things, really. That's the way to go. Anyway, this was not for me. I'm in the minority here, and that's fine. Everything is not for everyone. Okay, so that's my thoughts on this series, or at least on the first book, which is all that I read. Okay, I'm gonna stop yapping now, and I'll see you in the next one.